Good morning, Bitcoiners. We are on Bitcoiners United Live an hour earlier than we're used to, which I want to talk about. Daylight savings time having kicked off middle of the night last night. I have MexIMaxi today, who is, as you might suspect, a real Maxi. He's a Bitcoin Maxi, a Freedom Maxi, a Second Amendment Maxi. Let's find out where else he and I may share Maxi values together. Dare I say he might be an ornery Gen X Maxi like I am. He's a veteran of the U.S. Coast Guard, a Bitcoin class of 2024, and has been a member of the Bitcoin Army for over a year. Being a bit of a musician, he's hosted the Bitcoin Army's jam sessions and open mic night spaces on X Friday evenings, and that's where I found him, listening to those and kind of dipping my toes in the pool of the spaces. I got to know him a little bit there, found him very interesting and a good host and entertaining and smart. So with that, I'm happy to have you here today, Mexi. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's good. It's good to be on your show. Yeah,
cool.
Looking forward to this.
Yeah, I've had a number of other members of the Bitcoin Army on, like Steadily, a lot of folks who participate in the spaces or are on other podcasts, and kind of, sometimes people get comfortable with their presence online and their avatar and, how they represent themselves. And then it kind of expands. You get into participating on spaces, maybe getting invited to a podcast like this, and here you are on camera. So a lot of people don't always get to, you see the avatar and you get the sense for somebody, but you don't always know who somebody looks like. So it's fun to see somebody.
I know I like to kind of put a voice to a face, and so yeah, I thought, yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's cool.
No reason. I'm not. I mean, doesn't matter if I'm doxxed. I'm not doing anything bad. So
I went through that a bit where at first I was kind of like, I'm just going to be like an online figure and people don't necessarily have to know my name or my face. And then after a while, it was like, well, people are going to find out one way or another. And then I'm like, I'm kind of doxxed, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
What brought you to the Bitcoin Army? How'd you find them, and what made you start participating more and creating the space?
What brought me to the Army was Michelle. I started seeing her posts about the Bitcoin Army, and I just thought, that's pretty cool. That looks like a good community, and so I reached out to her, and she got me on the list and got me into the Army, and then I think it was. Probably, it took me about a couple months before I started listening to the spaces and participating. And then one night I was listening to Mempool Midnights, and this was summer of last year. And I was out on my deck and just kind of picking around on my guitar, and I heard Prophet start to play his ukulele. So that's when it kind of clicked, like, oh shit, we can play music in these things. So I jumped on stage and played a couple songs that I know, and then somebody had clipped it the day before, or the next day, and put it out there. And I thought, yeah, that was kind of cool. That was me playing the guitar, and cool. Here I am on Twitter in this great community, and so that's kind of what started it and got the ball rolling on it. And yeah, it's been amazing
fun. With technology connecting us all. You could be retired or living out in the woods, or, the only Bitcoiner in your community or whatever. And on these spaces online, man, so many people from all over the world connect and vibe and banter. And then, I really enjoyed some of these evenings just listening to the music that, some of the kids I say are making their AI stuff and different varieties of that. And then on evenings where, yeah, there are some good musicians as well, and they'll, or even singing. We've had people that got their voice and like singing, jamming, and it kind of just goes where it goes. I love,
yeah,
as it's titled, it's the vibe session. It's
well, no, that's Thursday nights. That's Run Thursday nights. Mine's the jam session. Yeah,
the jams.
I don't want to be stealing Brun Pitty's thunder here. So
that's true. I got to decipher those. But it involves music, and that's what I'm used to on Fridays, right?
Yeah. Involves music, and there are some times where, well, Salty came up and was playing one day, and I was in a space, and I was sitting at my piano and I was on stage and he was just cooking, and I just started playing my piano while he was cooking, and that really kind of took off a little bit, and that was a lot of fun to play music for people who are reciting poetry. I've done that a few times, and yeah, it's been fun. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. So you play guitar a little bit. Is there more that you play, or other instruments you dabble with, or sing in the shower?
Yeah, who doesn't sing in the shower,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, I started in 7th grade with the saxophone, and I played the alto sax from 7th to 8th grade, and then I moved up to the baritone sax, which at the time was bigger than me, and I played in a jazz band in 9th grade, and I played all the way through my sophomore year, and then kind of put the instruments down. Bought an electric guitar, of course, because I was a metalhead in high school and I wanted to learn power chords, and that was high school. And then I laid off it for a long time. I mean, I didn't pick up a guitar again until it's probably 15 years ago. I think I bought a guitar, an electric guitar, off a guy who won it in a tournament, and he was an old guy and he had no use for it. So I gave him $80 and he gave me the guitar. I bought a cheap amp and just started kind of picking around there. And then a buddy of mine gave me the guitar that I have now, the acoustic that I have now. And so, yeah, I just YouTube songs and try to learn how to play. I really focused on just playing more chords. I'm more of a rhythm guitarist than anything else. And
Cool.
I played the drums in high school a little bit. I learned how to keep a beat. The first song I ever learned was "We're Not Gonna Take It" by Twisted Sister, if you remember that.
All right.
That's a cool
We're
drum beat,
not
Yeah. And then in 2018, when I was out with my knee injury, my ex-wife saw on Facebook that one of her friends was giving away a free piano. So I was like, well, shit, I don't have anything to do for the next 4 months. I just had knee surgery. So we got it into the house and started playing on that. I always wanted to learn how to play the piano, and that's where that started. And then right after I got rid of it, I was going to sell my house about a year and a half ago and just kind of load everything up and take off south. And I'm glad I didn't. It was around the time that the election was going on. There were a couple of assassination attempts, and I thought, I'm pretty safe up here in Northwest Montana, and maybe I'll just stick around and keep the house. And plus, summer in Montana is where I want to be.
Cool.
I mean, it's just awesome. But
Montana is awesome. I went to school there, lived there for years. I'll be up in Montana in a couple weeks, actually, western northish Montana, traveling through on I-90. So anyway, we'll talk about that. Doug says, what up, Mexi? I think of him at Moonlight, Virginia. But Doug says hi. Mexi has magical fingers. Doug.
That's what she said.
Doug knows that. Doug co-hosts like half the spaces. I think I see him on a lot of them too. So it's been fun to meet a lot of you through the spaces. It's one of those things where it's like, I've kind of gone from a listener to occasional contributor, and I'll be like multitasking all the time, and because I would probably contribute more, but I gotta, I can't divide my attention all the time. But I love the spaces, just listening and the banter and the music is awesome and stuff.
Yeah,
we'll have to find out if Doug plays an instrument sometime. Do you know? I don't know.
I want to say skin flute. I'm sorry, Doug. I want to say skin flute because that is
probably practices that every day, huh?
So many times in the spaces, he'll accuse somebody of playing the skin flute. But and
there's sense of humor in them, and those spaces have our special brand of humor.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he did participate in the barbershop song that we put out a couple weeks ago when I got this idea to just let's just go around the room and everybody give some lyrics, like a line of lyrics, and I'll plug it into Suno and we'll figure out the style. And every single song just got better and better and better because we kept adding more lyrics and it was just ridiculous. But it was so funny. When I came up with the idea, Prophet comes in with the first line in the comments, and it was potatoes. That was it. It was just potatoes. And so that ended up being going towards the end of like a set of lyrics here and there. But yeah, it was pretty funny stuff. So yeah, Doug did participate in that. He actually came up with the idea to make it barbershop. So yeah,
Cool.
Thank you, Doug. You're a musician.
I grew up in Idaho, and talk about the pride in a potato, Idaho's famous potatoes. And
Oh yeah.
there were songs about potatoes. The Idaho spud is long and green, covered in butter and sour cream. Anyway, so that tells you how Idaho I am.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Anyway, Idaho doesn't make all the potatoes anymore.
No.
So now your profile, when I look at your profile, and that's what I knew you as for a long time. When I look at the avatar here, I'm thinking, man, that's like a Bitcoin mariachi guitarron player. What it is? So it made me think of mariachi. Does that have the Mexi part of it? Does that have anything to do with your background or something you want to share?
It does. Yeah, I'm half Mexican. My dad was, his first language is Spanish. He was born in Los Angeles. His whole side of the in the LA area, and my aunt actually just passed away a couple weeks ago, and she was the last. She was 93, and she was the last. He was the youngest of 11, and there was about a 22-year difference between my oldest uncle Frank and my dad. And so yeah, that's where that comes from, and of course, being a half Mexican and growing up in Montana, you got to have thick skin or a great sense of humor. And so it's always, I learned early that, okay, this is going to be your identity here. So,
yeah.
People are going to make jokes. They're going to say,
yeah. Montana. Oh, I can't hear you right now. Maybe you're muted. Oh, there you are. I hear you now.
The dogs are going apeshit. Hold on a second. Hey,
okay.
Hey, shut up.
We got to manage the dogs. Shandy says hi. Hi, Shandy. I was going to.
Oh, hey, Shandy.
Yeah, I was going to message you back here a little bit, Shandy. Yeah. So, I mean, so growing up in Idaho, it's very kind of homogenous on the culture in a way, and I didn't know any different or any better. And then went to school in Montana, and you go to university. I went to Montana State, and
okay, Bobcats.
Yeah, and
hey.
Bozeman and all that. And I tell you, it's crazy to visit now. Like I hadn't been back in years, and I remember it from the 90s. And then I went off to work and all the things, and I didn't visit or have reason to for a while. And after years, I went back, and it's like, what in the heck is happening to Bozeman? It's Bose Angeles. It's growing like crazy. A lot of people are moving to Montana for good reasons. My dad and his family did after retirement. But yeah, Montana's a nice destination to be at because you can kind of pick the environment you like, the space, as much space as you want, the big sky, mountains or prairie or the rivers and the mountains and things like that. So I have good memories of Montana. The winters can be quite I thought I knew what winter was in Idaho, and we'd ski and all that with snow. Oh my goodness. In Montana, it was just subtract 20 degrees from everything sometimes. So
yeah. But anyway, and maybe add a little bit more snow.
Yeah, more snow, frozen hair in your nose. And I saw it snow once in July. It was just some random summer little flurry that hit, and then I was like, okay. But the country is awesome. Going to school there as well. So, okay, university environment, sure. But a lot of ag, a lot of cowboys. And I used to kind of think, oh, they're kind of like dressing up for, there were cowboys in Idaho, but it was part of a culture so deeply that there were, guys and gals going to school, full-time students, but that was their garb. Like they grew up on a ranch or farm.
Oh, that's what
that was like kind of a cultural, like, oh, okay, like this is Montana cowboy town. So kind of neat.
Very much is. Yeah. And you mentioned people moving to Montana, and I think it was Kalispell and Bozeman. I'm in Kalispell, and
Okay.
those two towns were kind of fighting for, boy, how do I say this? The fastest growing micropolitans in the United States. And they just keep going back and forth. Like we've experienced a huge boom since COVID.
So Kalispell's been growing like crazy too, huh?
Oh, God, it's ridiculous. It's frustrating. Yeah. I try,
Yeah.
you know, I try not to, I try not to leave my house. No, I try not, just, you got to understand that, people are going to move up here and it's a beautiful place to live. And if you can handle the winters, it's great. But I still get really irritated every time I have to go to like Costco or Walmart, or it's just, there's so many people because we don't really have the infrastructure for a large population. So when we do get all these people up here, and tourist season hasn't even hit yet, and you got our roads are crammed. There's accidents all over the place, and
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's still a good place. It's still a good place.
Yeah, you see it change, and what used to be simple is now like there's like before I wouldn't think about traffic, and now it's like, wow, it's like traffic in this town?
Hmm.
Okay. And it's not even really bad traffic. It's just like having to wait at all for much. It's just different. And then okay, yes, the deer. So we were traveling to visit my dad in Helena, and good, careful, aware driver, but deer just they're around and they will just pop
They'll
out
come.
or do the opposite of what you think they should do.
Yeah.
I was driving from Billings to Bozeman late one night after a weekend visit, and I'm like, just long straightaway. Some of those roads talk about speed limits too. Back in the day, it was just
Hmm.
night 55. There was no speed limit. So
Yep.
yes, it was night. So I was driving more than 55, but you get used to having that freedom of driving and capability of speed. And I was flying along, just kind of, not delirious, but pretty tired, and flew by a giant, one of the biggest elks I've ever seen, just standing
Mm.
right on the median, and I drove over to the side lane because I was like, okay, I don't want him to like do something, and I slowed down a bit. But I was flying by, and he turned his head, and his giant rack went into the lane, and he looked at me as I flew by, and I was just like, holy crap! And
Yeah,
bears and all kinds of things.
and elk are a hell of a lot bigger than people think.
Hmm.
When you see one up close, it's just like that's a big animal, and you hit something like that, it's going to total your car.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like almost like a moose. They can be so tall that your car can go right under the legs and the body just goes through your
Hmm.
windshield and into you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, but yeah, something to be mindful of when you're in Montana. So um did you grow up in Montana or move there from elsewhere after like career time? And
I grew up
when I
here.
think of Coast Guard, I don't think of Montana.
No, nobody does. I get that question a lot. It's just like, how the hell did you hear about the Coast Guard? You're from Montana.
Yeah.
But it was actually my brother recommended it when I was in high school. He was in the Navy. He went through the Naval Academy, and I was my junior in high school. I was scheduled to go into the Marine Corps, and I was going into the buddy program with a friend of mine, aeronautical aviation school. It was all set, and then I tore my ACL in my left knee
Mm.
skiing that spring. So I had to wait a year before I could. I had surgery, but turns out it wasn't really a surgery. They went in with arthroscope, looked at it, said 6 months physical therapy. I tore a
Mm.
third of it. So it wasn't even really a surgery, but on the day that I was supposed to go for my physical, the recruiter called me up that morning and said, "Hey, you got to wait for a year after your knee surgery, and then we'll get you going." Well, in that year, I'd lost avionics school, delayed entry buddy program, and they wanted me to go in open contract. Now, I have a cousin who did 3 tours in Vietnam, and my parents were like, "Fuck no, you're not going open contract in the Marine Corps. We don't want you
Mm.
sleeping in a ditch."
Yeah.
So I had another friend who was joining the Coast Guard, and this was my senior year, and I was kind of, I wanted to join the military. I wasn't really ready to continue school. So I was talking to my brother. He was like, yeah, join the Coast Guard. He's like, all I see those guys doing is hanging out on their boats with their M16s. That's it. I'm like, well, that sounds great. So I did get in. I wasn't supposed to get in with the whole delayed entry buddy program thing, but then they found out that I was half Mexican because he called me up. He's like, hey, Guerrero, is that Hispanic? I said, yeah, I'm half Mexican. He goes, oh, we can get you in right away.
The benefits of being different.
Yeah, no shit. Some white guy just stole a quota.
I work with a guy that's full on Hispanic, and he gets, I mean, not that, I mean, he's settled in work with me now, but like over the years, it's like he's full on America. He's, you know, he's fully American, you know, yeah, he's bilingual, but he's American, and he identifies everything. I mean, he's been in America his whole life. But just to look at him, people presume things, or to see the name, or to be to happen to be bilingual. It's funny to like have people's perceptions see it as like different when really you're just like, dude, I'm just an American guy. So anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I don't really speak Spanish.
Yeah.
You know, I speak a little bit, but not much. But yeah, so I was actually born in Pasadena. My parents, that's where my mom met my dad, was down in Los Angeles, and they lived there for about 8 or 9 years. And we moved up here when I was 6 months old, because my mom was from this area. She was born and raised, grandparents born and raised. So she wanted to be closer to home. And yeah, so that's the story of that.
Are there family ties back in Mexico at all, really? Or
No, not in Mexico. My grandparents came over with my oldest aunt and oldest uncle. I couldn't even tell you the years, like probably around early 1900s.
Oh, wow.
Like I said, there was a 22-year difference between my Uncle Frank and my dad. And they ended up in El Paso, and then they moved over to Los Angeles. But,
yeah, I mean, that's as far back as my family's roots in America go myself. Although that, you know, being German or Scottish, it's still, that's as American as you can get there. But yeah, that's cool. We grew up in, being Gen Xers, similar of age. We have our formative years. I was talking with, I think, Doug a little bit about this when he was on. Some of the best years in a way to be a kid and grow up between, you know, the 80s into the 90s, the music, the video games, seeing computers evolve, and then the internet.
Yeah.
I feel lucky in a way to have that perspective. I think that, I mean, as I get older, it's easy to look at the younger generations and what they take for granted or understand or don't. And surely we were the same way, but we got to see the beginnings of everything. I mean, the tech, or the just having a home PC and getting into video games, and then seeing those year by year by year just evolve to what we have now. And you can remember this span of time of these crazy changes. So like when we're in one of the spaces and people quickly throw together AI stuff, or work on a particular result, like a song that's really good, and things like that. It's like, I can see how you do that, but man, some of the younger generations just pick up and jump on it, roll with it quickly. And there's aspects now to technology that I have to learn again, or put work into to keep up with. I start to feel stale. You went through a thing where, talk about tech support. You're not necessarily a tech maxi. I've heard tech support.
No, God, no. No, I'm a tech mini.
A tech mini.
Yeah,
that's partially deliberate for your mental health. But did you have tech in your life growing up much?
Not really, because I am a little bit older than you. I'll be 54 at the end of this month, and I So I grew up, I was born in 72. I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. I graduated high school in 1990, and then I was off.
Mm.
And I remember my first video game, my parents bought an Atari, and we would play Pong
Yeah.
relentlessly, like constantly. And then by the time I was in high school, it was the Nintendo Entertainment System, and Mike Tyson's Punch Out, Mario Brothers, and that kind
Connected
of
to your
thing.
TV, and your resolution was your
The
TV.
Yes. I apologize again. So we got a little windstorm going on behind me, and sometimes knocks branches off the
We
trees.
can't hardly hear it, honestly.
The dogs? Okay, good, because
Yeah.
they are very loud to me.
The mic's doing good. Yeah.
Good. So yeah, there was really no, I mean, I was excited when CD players came out,
Oh, me too. Yeah. I was like, woo, magic.
Yeah. And then when those little 5-disc changers came out, it was like, holy shit, what is that? That is the badass. But yeah, and then going through the Coast Guard, I didn't have much. I do remember sending the very first email. When we first got email, I was in about 94, and I was stationed at the Group Air Station, North Bend, Oregon, as a gunner's mate. And I sent an email to my operations officer, and because we were in trailers and he had his office, so we sent an email, and then we immediately scurried to his office to see if he got it, and we were just blown away by what we could do. We didn't have to
type through the cloud.
Yeah, we didn't have to type shit down and put it in a manila envelope and take it, hand carry it to him, or have somebody take it to him. It was like, shit, I can send all these reports now over this computer. So it was pretty eye-opening, and it was right before I got out, and so I decided, like, right then and there, that I was going to study computer science and finance, and I did really well in intro to computer science, but I didn't read the next class was programming in Pascal, and I didn't read the book at all, and I went in cold, and I didn't know anything. It was so overwhelming. Like, after the first day, I went to the instructor. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do this.
Okay.
So I went into elementary education instead, and then that went for. I just couldn't figure out what I really wanted to do at the time. So I took about a year and a half off and went down to Arizona. Went to Bartenders Academy, and then became a bartender for 11 years. Started working in the golf industry at about the same time, and that was what I really loved doing. I loved working in the golf industry. I did 17 years in the golf industry, and then 17 years with UPS.
Yeah, and I think I heard mention, or somewhere, maybe it's on your profile, that you're a pretty good golfer, huh?
I'm okay. Yeah. I was better when I was a golf pro. I was a little bit better, but yeah. That was fun. I did some cool shit. I ran 2 different companies that we did after school programs teaching golf to K through 6th graders. And I did it in Minnesota. I was there for a year. Didn't go so well. I had a couple of partners. So I have a specialized associate's degree in professional golf management that I earned from the Professional Golfers Career College in Temecula, California. Mm-hmm. And a couple of the guys that I went to school with, they were from Minnesota. We decided we were going to do this thing called TGA, Total Golf Adventures. And it was after school programs, and kind of like a franchise deal, right? You got to send them 10% of the profits, but they supply you with all the equipment and the mats and everything like that you need. So we did it in Minnesota for a year, and then in 2007, my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer, so I came back to the Valley, and then one of the golf pros at the course that I always work at, her and her husband were looking into bringing TGA into Flathead Valley, and I was like, hey, I've got the disc. I've got everything we need. We can just do it on our own. So we started Montana Golf Association, and we went off. We had 9 programs running through 13 different schools from the get-go, and we were maintaining 100 students per session. We do 2 before Christmas break and 2 after, and it was a really cool program. And then fall of 2008 hit, and we dropped 80% overnight, and there was no bailout, and that's when I kind of started to be like, you fuckers. I mean, like, that was my first taste of I don't know, the elite class versus us, poor
Yeah,
people.
we saw, and there was a bit of a razzle dazzle going on about it, and but it was in the news. But you saw who got bailed out and who
Yeah.
didn't, and then government, even like the motor vehicle industry, bailouts and ownership and all these things, and it was just like, what is going on here? Um, and the game of all that, and also, I mean, you could go in deep on the whole bailout thing, but the people that were heads of the banks, Goldman Sachs and et cetera, being head of the people who were involved in part of the problem, now being in charge of the solution. And then you saw certain big banks cut out so that they could be bought out. And it was like, oh, you start to see the business of this, the banking like business cartel. I got so cynical about it. Of course, there was Occupy Wall Street and all the things going on.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, what are we supposed to do? Like, there's no solution. I was pretty black-pilled at the time, just like, well, at that time it was like, well, I guess it's like gold and, well, having property, for me, it was like, if I'm going to get down to some base fundamentals here, for me, I didn't have a solution. I didn't know, of course, Bitcoin at all in 2008, 2009, even the slightest rumbling of it at all until 2012, when I first heard of it. But so at the time, it was like, well, have some, and that's where Montana, and my memories of Montana struck me, was have some decent land, know where, say, your water is from, maybe be adept in being a good gun owner, have your arsenal, and stocks of food or community and all the things. And it's kind of like, well, what are you afraid of? You think there's gonna be like a zombie apocalypse? It's like, no, but it's like, you might have life insurance, but I mean, are you expecting to die? No, but you might still have life insurance, right? Yeah. So for me, it's like, well, and I don't know to the extent that you live or experience this, but having safe feeling land where you can be sovereign in various ways to the extent you want to, having some good neighbors, whatnot, and being prepped in a way, not like you're a Armageddon fetish type of a prepper, but you're not naive and you're not like, oh, geez, if the power went out for a while, we're crazy within days. It's more like, we're fine.
Yeah, if the grid goes down, then it's not going to take long before people are starting to panic. And hey, knock it off, wait, please. Sorry,
I can't even hear her.
You can't hear the dogs. Okay,
no, I can't.
Yeah, they're having a little wrestling match right next to me.
They're excited that Daddy's doing stuff.
I know, they love to be by my side, but that's a good thing. I kind of lost my train of thought there.
Being prepped and being where you're at, and if the power went out, people would go.
Exactly.
There was some quote that, like, the best, most ethical gentleman you might meet will be a crazy madman within a few days without food. So,
sure.
Largely, it's certainly a mental prep thing. It's mental health. I mean, from the Army or the military, you get a sense of managing your mind through conflict. So.
Yeah, and I'm not psycho about it. I'm partially prepared, I would say, but I do have a creek that runs through my property, and my neighbor and I are on his well, and I know he's got generators, so our water's not going to go out. I've got about 6 months supply of food. I've got guns, ammo, and all that.
Yeah.
But, you pray for the best, but prepare for the worst, I guess.
Yeah, and there's a peace of mind that, like, no, it's not crazy. For all of human history, people lived and thought about these things just as a matter of course. You're going to live, you got to live kind of near the land in a community and be doing something and like it, make hay while the sun's shining, store your seed dry and stock your stocks when you can. And it was just like normal, getting through the winter or whatever. Nowadays, sometimes, we get so comfortable, and like I think some years ago, I was doing some simple additional little food prep stuff, just stocking stuff away just to have in the attic, whatever. And be like, I mean, my wife was cool about it, but other family of mine would be like, "Is this a little like extreme?" And I'm like, "No, I mean, I'm not nuts about it. It's just it's like a peace of mind that you like. I've got a creek on my property. It's just nice knowing that I got water right there. You
Mhm.
got timber, you know, like what's your heat source? What's your shelter? What's your water source? What's your food sources? And you're not crazy. You're just it's a peace of mind that when things happen, you're like, okay, well, wouldn't choose
Yeah,
for this, but I'm okay.
it's better than not being prepared, and especially going through what we're, everything that's going on in today's world, because you can open up Twitter and it's just doomer and prepare yourself, and the lights are going out, and we've got all this we war with Iran, and how is that going to go? But if you're not prepared for all of that, and you start seeing all these reports coming out and all these warnings, I mean, I can imagine that it could be a little daunting at
Mhm.
times in the brain. I mean, you're probably thinking, holy shit, if this does happen, I'm kind of screwed. But yeah, so having that peace of mind is really nice.
Yeah. When I was going to school in Montana, and we're talking mid to late 90s, um, I remember so like Mark Roscoe was the governor,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
I remember him stand so oh geez. So it was this was before 2008 and all that, but after well, no, not 9/11 hadn't even happened. So I remember even before 9/11, there were rumblings of things about like digital ID for reasons. And I think the reasons were more weak at that time, but they were the federal government was starting on real ID and they wanted to do real
Mhm.
ID. And I remember for reasons they wanted every state's driver's license to be the equivalent of a passport. And I remember Roscoe standing up to that. And maybe it was, and maybe a governor after him as well. But Montana and a handful of other states were just saying, we will not comply with this. The government was kind of giving them a deadline, and enough states basically said, no, we're not doing a
Mhm.
digital ID on citizens now. And so with that pushback from Montana and elsewhere, it got tabled. And then 9/11 came and it kind of rose its head again, but it got focused more on the US Banking Secrecy Act
Yeah, the Patriot Act.
and the
Yeah.
Patriot Act. Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's the Patriot Act, and kind of in there, the Patriot Act has a ton about banking stuff and money and visibility of transaction
Mhm.
stuff and rules and
Mhm.
requirements for banks to disclose, KYC plus disclosure to the government.
Yeah.
So remember all
What?
that hit. So when I think back to my years in Montana, and now Real ID is just it just happened. It's sort of like that steady march. It just took more time, but they got there. And
Yeah.
now it's like, yeah, if you want to fly now, I remember feeling ornery going through TSA like a year ago, and they're telling you now I've got a passport. So I'm just like, dude, I got a passport. So whatever, I'll just bring my passport. But I'd have TSA guy reminding me, hey, come whatever it was a year ago, March something, you have to have a real ID. And I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. And what I remember is thinking about how we got here now. Like it just sort of crept its way slowly enough that now we have
Mhm.
come to accept it. And it's just one more thing that we've come to accept. And it's like, okay, for new
Wh-
reasons.
One more form of control.
Yeah. It's all about legibility of citizenry and control, and why I think ultimately not to get heady about it, but it's like on a farm where the resource being extracted, and it's
Mhm.
the state is an extraction state. It's the extraction state theory of money. So
Yeah.
all these things going on and everything, whatever, and yeah, they can print money. Um, it's an extractive state, and so what's the answer to that? I mean, okay, Bitcoin, and
Mhm.
also sovereignty in life in a way where you can create without getting yourself in trouble or hot water, staying out,
Yeah.
staying legal enough. I mean, I feel like the laws that are being passed basically criminalize good people at this point. But
Yeah. Exactly.
creating resistance, or they
Mhm.
say you have to do this, and you're like, no, I don't. I don't even do that.
Mhm.
Well, everybody has to do this. Do I? But anyway, those are hard to navigate sometimes, the friction points as it marches forward, remaining sovereign and free. These rights aren't like given to us. They have to be taken and protected.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
you relate to some of those civics values, perhaps.
Yeah, I do. You know, it reminds me of like the IRS is what I'm thinking
Yeah,
right now,
right.
and taxes. And what's going to happen, because there are millions of Americans right now that are fed up. And once we see where our taxes are going
Yeah,
to the NGOs and the pedophiles and, you know, the Epstein class, it's like, I don't want to give one penny to this government
exactly.
ever again. And I'm to the point where I want all my money back. You know, I mean, never going to happen, but oh, yeah, it's frustrating, definitely.
Zoom out and just kind of, it's so ridiculous in a way. And we're in tax season. I mean, everybody, you know, in America,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, you start getting the documents and then you start plugging in the numbers, and then it's more obvious if you have to pay. But even if you get a return, but if you're looking at your paychecks and you're looking at how much you did pay, and then you stop and think about what that went to. And okay, you know, military has always been a big chunk of it for various reasons or whatever. What the military is applied for in terms of national security or what, like what we see happening right now. And
Yeah.
then, and you know, by whose terms. And then additionally, oh yeah, as much as the military anymore, it's basically to pay off interest on our debt to who? A cartel of banks. For
Yeah,
what? Because
exactly.
we can't stop spending, and so we just keep printing, and that a private cartel of banks prints our money and loans that at interest to our government.
Hmm.
Excuse me. So then you're
Hmm.
just like, I'm done. And most people just don't want to think about it. They're just like, it just works well enough. I want to stay out of trouble. What's the path of least resistance? I'm
Yeah.
like, stack Bitcoin, get out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. The majority of my Bitcoin's in cold storage, and they'll never get it. But when you mention, you know, our taxes going to our military, I don't even think that it's actually our taxes that are going to our military anymore. I think they're just printing money for what they need it for. I think our taxes are going to these NGOs,
Uh,
and
the
they're
fraud.
they're going to the fraud and the Ponzi schemes and just this racket that
Yeah.
we're being governed by. So
It brings
yeah,
me to, I guess, we could share how maxi we are. I'll tell you how maxi I get sometimes in my thinking.
okay,
Um, ironically, I mean, not to say ironically, because I can make sense of it in my world, but it's a kind of cognitive dissonance that I'll have where I've got a daytime job in the public sector where, now granted, we help people, we change people's lives, we help keep the cracks in the foundation sealed better. And it's in criminal justice and whatever, but we help people. And I feel
yeah,
good about at least what we do in our office, and the way we do it is ethical and it's good. It's all taxpayer money, but whatever. And so then, that aside, I'll be very anti-authority for reasons. And so then here's how maxi I feel is that I will look at things like taxation as if like Bukele's speech where he's like, why do they why do you why do you tax your people if you can print the money, and the printing of the money is more than a lot of it. So
for the
taxation
illusion.
being, it's like a humiliation ritual. It's like
Yeah.
reminding you that you work for us. Even if they didn't need all that money, it's kind of keeping everybody aware that they're legible and accountable to us sovereign.
Well,
That's all.
if I'm thinking about the same speech, I think he mentioned that we're taxed for the illusion that we're actually funding our government. That
Right.
these tax cut dollars that you're spending are repairing roads and bridges, and it's all bullshit. You know, none of that's happening. Like, and we know that now, and so it's just it's frustrating, definitely.
Yeah. And then so then it's apropos for today, this morning, when Now, maybe historically there were reasons for it. I look at the time change, the daylight savings time. I look at daylight savings time like a psychopath. I'm like, this is a psyop. um, at one point back in the day, the story I had when I grew up was that, oh, it was like for farmers, because farmers,
Yeah.
whatever, like wanted more daylight, or when they were finished harvesting, they had more daylight to go shopping, or I don't know, that was the story. I'm not even sure that was true. Later I heard, oh, during war, I had to kind of look it up, and it was like, oh, during World War, was it World War I or II? I can't remember. Anyway, one of the world wars, it was like, oh, it helps save energy. So back in the day, it'd be like, if people are up and alert and awake and doing stuff during daylight hours and they're not doing that into dark hours, you're like saving energy. Well, okay, I can kind of see that. But in our modern age today, does it matter that it's 1 hour this way or that way? In terms
No.
of energy use or productivity? Like in the winter, you're waking up in the dark and going to the bed in the dark anyway.
Yeah.
So the whole feeling of daylight savings time to me, as a psyop, it's kind of like we control your time as well. So you will all shift your clocks for the ministers of time. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I like how you wrote that down, the ministers of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't see any reason, because up here, and you know this, it gets dark at 4:30, 4:45
Sure.
in the wintertime, and it's just it's dreary, you know. I mean, it's just people suffer from what is that?
Seasonal affective.
Seasonal, seasonal affective disease or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing. People get depressed, and when it's cloudy, and that's another thing about this area of Montana. It's like it's cloudy a lot. You know, we don't see the sun much during the winter months, but this winter hasn't been that bad, actually.
Yeah, and then thinking about the political bureaucratic willpower about things, at least on the western states, so Washington, Oregon, California, variously have passed bills to get rid of daylight savings time. And it has the strong support of the people. And legislatively, they're like, yeah, why are we doing this? Nobody wants it. It's just a pain. Like, let's just get rid of this. And whatever the mechanics of all that were, I remember, like, I'm in Oregon, and Oregon passed it, and it's like, oh, good, we're done with it, finally. Oh, no. There's like agreements between the states where Washington, Oregon, and California all have to agree. And then for some reason, like California hadn't yet. And so years ago, it was like, oh, Oregon passed it or Washington passed it, but California hadn't. And then they had to agree on terms about things. And it's just like, we can't even get this kind of dumb thing that nobody wants done. And yet we can let no good emergency go to waste and print more money. Money's always easy, but time?
Exactly.
Anyway, I get cynical about the politics of things, as we do.
Well, and a couple of years ago, I was hearing rumblings of the same thing, that it was going to happen federally, that they were talking about it. Even our own governor here in Montana was talking about it. And he was like, yeah, we're going to get rid of daylight savings time because it's just why? You know, why not just have it the same time year round?
If it's dark in the morning, it's dark in the morning. Okay.
But I really do appreciate when it does come around. Like I'm happy that we gained another hour of evening light. So you know, and that came from being a UPS driver, you know, especially a beginning UPS driver, and all of a sudden at 5 o'clock it's dark out, and I don't know where I'm going, you know, and I'm trying to find highway stops in the dark, which is the worst scenario that I absolutely hated. But
so maybe there's reasons that help for certain kinds of work that way. My thought was, well, if it happens to be seasonally a certain amount of darkness at a certain time, maybe we just adjust the shifts or when we start or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe instead of time having to change, we just adjust how we work our day for daylight. I don't know. But Yeah.
I don't see any benefit, or I don't see any benefit to daylight savings. I mean, honestly, I just I
Yeah.
do yeah, and you know how Montana is in the summertime too. It stays light till about 11 o'clock, and
Uh-huh.
that's my favorite time of year.
I
Yeah.
love, yeah, I love summertime. My boy goes up to Alaska in the summers and works up there doing mountain guiding type stuff. And
Nice.
they'll have barely any night. Sometimes it's like light all day for a while. But
Hmm.
um there's this movie thinking about time and control over time. You see this movie In Time?
Uh,
Justin
Springs.
Timberlake.
Yes, I just watched that recently. A buddy of
Oh,
mine
you did?
recommended it to me. Yeah, yeah. Probably about like 3 4 months ago. I watched it. I thought it was a good movie. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like the currency is time.
it's time. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Um, yeah, I just got to thinking about time and who controls our time, and not just on the clock, but like the time you have in a day to put your energy where and for what pay.
Hmm.
And then meanwhile, uh, I've been reading Jeff Booth's The Price of Tomorrow, and how
Okay.
the natural state of things being with technology and things are just so incredibly deflationary,
Yep.
and yet we have all this inflation. And so where did that value, that time, that capability go? Well, it got sifted away,
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah, it got
deflated
printed.
away, or
Yeah,
debased. Yeah,
absolutely. It went into the interest rates. You know, that we're planning on all this money that we're printing, and it's
totally.
just and something's got to come to a head. I mean, it's I don't think I think the average lifespan of a fiat currency is 100 years,
Mm,
and we're past that. They still have some levers that they can pull, but I'm happy that I'm into Bitcoin because it really does take away from me worrying about money and my future and all that. And I'm so convicted. I took a 20% hit on my 401k and put it all into Bitcoin. I was like,
converted
I'm
it.
not. Yeah, once I had access to it, I got it out of there as quickly as I could. And
Yeah,
I really wish I would have waited a little bit because I got it out when Bitcoin was 90 heading to 80. So I got it in to Bitcoin 90 to 80, and here we are in the 60s, and I'm like, damn it.
you
What?
know, and that's it's hard because you want to get the best number leverage out of it, and yet
Yeah.
the price is so crazy. I'll see reasons for why the price could be where it's at, and that we're just so early, and that eventually none of it will matter too much. But at the same
Hmm.
time, wondering who in the hell is selling Bitcoin, it just it it baffles me when like you and I understand fundamentals about Bitcoin, and then you realize
Hmm.
how much retail froth and lettuce hand money has piled in just for number go up and as a trade and a speculative on risk tech kind of a mindset.
Yeah.
And then they want to pull out during a bear market because it, whatever, they're playing other games.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, oh God, like even as the floor has gone up on Bitcoin, I mean, it's weird because I got to zoom out and be like, okay, three years or so ago, it was in the 20s, or it even went down into the teens.
Yeah.
And so back then, to imagine that, oh, it was going to crash into the 60s and 70s, it'd be like, oh, well, gee, that's not bad. So, but meanwhile, we're grinding through what I feel is like there's an inevitability just spring loaded, and I'm just waiting for it. And I guess on one hand, the psychology of all that, I think I've shared this elsewhere, where it goes it goes down and it's not validating in terms of fiat price, but you can feel like, oh, okay, well, I can stack more better. And then it goes up and you're validated in terms of your existing stack, but then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, now I can't stack as much more. So
Hmm.
it's kind of a double-edged sword in the fiat price for me.
Yeah. And especially with those of us because I do live off Bitcoin somewhat.
Hmm.
I've got income coming in, but if I'm ever if I'm ever short on some bills or mortgage or whatever, I make sure that I have all that, and I do have to sell some Bitcoin, but I I also DCA weekly, and any extra money that I get goes into Bitcoin.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, when it goes up, when you're having to sell it and it's into the 60s, you're kind of like, God damn, I wish it would be 126 again. So I'm not spending as many sats on this one thing that I have to buy or this one bill that I have to pay.
Uh-huh.
But I think it's like you say, you got to zoom out and just take it for what it's worth. And all you can do is continue to DCA, use it. For people like me who do spend Bitcoin, you just hope you don't have to spend too much of it while it's here. But I don't think it'll stay in the 60s. I don't think any of us do, right? I think we all know that it's going to go up over time.
Yeah.
And so what we're seeing in the spaces right now is all this infighting and Knots versus Core, and it was Jane Street that did this, and I kind of am trying to make sure that the spaces that I'm doing or my Friday space is just away from that. I don't want to bring that crap into a Friday night. Let's have some drinks, play some music space. So it's more for just a good time and for people to just relax a little bit and have fun.
That's what I like about your spaces is that positive energy and the camaraderie, the community. It's positive. I mean, people have their opinions, but there's way more that we agree on than fighting over certain details about it. Like we all want Bitcoin to remain decentralized and secure and fix the world, and as it
100%.
as it will, steadily. It's just not happening on a pace that we would like necessarily. Like I can see the inevitable solution somewhere out there. I just wish it would start happening a little more obviously now. Meanwhile, FUD in the markets, the fear index, the the chaos in the world. Well, it's not fun. We've been grinding with that, but now we've got war, and I think about the expense of that, the games that the Tournament of Kings are playing, and the money printer is going to turn on hard. I just think they gotta add to that like nuts. You can't not. And once that happens, I mean, as every time before, once that happens and the Cantillon effect and everything else, whoever's got that money spigot and near it, they've got their games they're playing and the fiat games that are getting more and more debased to themselves. Yeah. And the fiat world is fading and flagellating and just getting more desperate, I think. But that money is going to seek a hard, safe haven. And okay, maybe gold is more obvious to people, but then what? What, are you going to sit on your gold and try to transact with that?
Well, good luck moving $1 million worth of gold over a border.
Right. Yeah. So Bitcoin will benefit. Bitcoin may fall behind gold, but then also gold could wane just as a technology, and Bitcoin becomes kind of the obvious solution of like, oh, this still works. This is important. Yeah. I get it. We'll see some of that retail fiat game shift, and you'd say, well, then the guys gaming the system are getting in on theirs, right? Well, yes, but it's a fundamental change in the rules that they can't print that now. They got to follow new rules, and I think it'll change the incentives of the systems eventually. So things will get better.
I'm so sorry. My dogs are.
All I see is the camera move a little bit.
Yeah, they knocked the table a little bit, and
damn.
So,
dogs.
Pardon me 1 second. I got to go on.
I don't. I've had dogs before, but I've thought about having dogs in my life, and it's kind of a mix of responsibility and like, they're so fun, gentle family souls, and they can be a real pain in the ass.
It's like having children, to be honest with you, but I'll take it, because I love my dogs. They're awesome. And so they provide that companionship, that I'm kind of missing right now, but
they get them raccoons outside.
Yeah. Well, they scare them off. That's for sure. My neighbor shoots them. So I'll step out onto my deck sometimes and hear pretty loud gunshots because he's just we're all kind of on a U on the creek, and so I'm on one end of that bottom of a U, and he's on the other end, and so it's kind of like an echo chamber around here. So
Yeah.
when guns start popping off, it's pretty loud.
When I first moved out into the deep woods, having moved from Seattle, an urban area, and I was like, I gotta get out. This was after 9/11, and things were weird and whatever. And I was looking at, okay, affording a house, having a family, where do I want to live? And I was like, I got to get out of the city. The city is going to be a mess. Not that like, oh, something's going to happen, it's going to be a problem. It's more like, nah, I'd rather not be stuck here trying to get out than feeling like I'm already out and observing the city from a distance going, I'm glad I'm not in there where it starts. But once you're out there, I started hearing, like, I'd hear gunshots off in the distance. And at first it was like, ooh, what's going on? Oh, like you think of all the things. And then you get used to it. And then you're like, oh, I could shoot my guns too.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, yeah, I'll hear a neighbor's popping off some rounds and just being like, oh, yeah, sighting in his rifle or just doing whatever. And I don't mind it. So it's a community that's practicing. So
yeah, exactly. And as long as you're not in like suburbia and you start hearing gunshots, you know something's wrong. But out here in the woods, I mean, it's pretty typical.
Yeah. Do you did you move out to where you're at from? Did you ever live in an urban environment, and was that part of your life in the past?
Oh yeah, I lived in Portland for 5 years actually. That's where I was when 9/11 happened. No, not the Coast Guard. I was a bartender out there.
Oh, okay.
I worked for a company called McMinimans.
Yeah,
and I worked at their flagship Edgefield.
Oh, dude, I've been there. I've been there quite a few times. And, you know, not that I have the passport, but whenever you're somewhere, I was somewhere very random out on the coast. And lo and behold, next to the golf course was a McMinimans. It's like, damn, you know it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they've got 62 locations from Portland up to Seattle. And the Edgefield, you've been to the Edgefield, so you know they have a golf course there, right? And that golf course, after playing that golf course for 5 years, like my short game was, when I came home, the envy of all the other golf professionals. And I attribute that to being able to pass my player's ability test and become a golf pro, because I just had an outstanding short game thanks to Edgefield. But yeah, I was there. I lived in Southern California for 2 years when I was going to golf college, and yeah, we were packed in pretty tight there, you know, 30 million people, and they're all pissed off because there's 30 million people. Yeah, that's what I couldn't stand living there, you know.
Portland is special, and you know they'll hold on to the, you know, keep Portland weird, and it's kind of like, does that work for you if things are tough? Is weird the value you want to have, or is it more like being a functional, productive person? Are dumpster fires weird?
Yeah, and now you see what Portland is now.
Yeah,
you know, because their liberal policies, and it's sad because when I was there, I loved it. I mean, it wasn't anything in the early 2000s wasn't anything like it is now. And you know, you've got the good steelhead salmon runs and or the steelhead runs and the silver salmon runs, and so we fished a lot and a lot of golf courses around there. And I'm not much of a hunter. I mean, I've gone hunting, I've shot a deer, and that was enough.
you know you can do it. It's just not your sport. But Edgefield is really just right down the river from me here I'm right on the Columbia River. And and we were in Portland just a couple of days ago for my kids' swim competition thing. But I remember, like you, I remember Portland and Seattle and some of these cities from the 90s. And I mean, I worked downtown Seattle for years and would take the bus and would travel right in the thick of downtown. And yeah, there were the city things, stuff going on, but it was just different than what it is now. And so when I go to visit now, it's like, holy crap, shit has gone downhill. I mean, not to superficially judge it, like, okay, there's more people, but man, fiat and progressive politics have taken their toll.
Yeah.
Um, and then it's sort of like, well, we have more solutions. We have more solutions. Well, okay, who's paying for that? And then when we do pay for it, like you look in what goes on in California, and it's like, so where'd these hundreds of billions of dollars go?
Hmm.
Well, like you could have housed every single homeless person individually with that money, and yet you see no difference, or in fact, it's gotten worse.
It's
And the
worse.
money
Yeah,
is,
they've created more homeless since
it's
then.
worse. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So it's crazy, but anyway, that's why for some perspective, I can handle Portland if I go to like pass through or visit, but it
Sure.
reminds me every time, like, yeah, I'm glad we live where we live.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm really glad I live where I live, and it's sad because we spent time in Seattle in the Coast Guard. The first unit that I was on was a 378-foot high endurance cutter, and it was in dry dock. It was in what's called FRAM, Fleet Renovation and Maintenance.
Mhm.
And they overhaul the entire ship. They put on the new electronics. So it takes anywhere from 8 months to a year for a ship to go through FRAM. And so when we went over to Seattle to pick up our ship, we were there for a couple months, and this was in the early '90s, and I ended up seeing Alice in Chains in a tiny little club in downtown Seattle before they really
Awesome.
got big.
Yeah.
And that was right when the Pearl Jam and the Soundgarden and all that music was exploding out of Seattle, and
Uh-huh.
it was awesome. I mean, like we had such a good time when we were in Seattle, and there was never any. I think one guy got mugged once,
Uh,
but we felt safe as long as we were traveling in pairs. We felt safe going from from the pier into downtown Seattle, and yeah, it was awesome. You don't do that anymore. I mean,
yeah, it's different.
mhm,
I have memories like that from Seattle where we'd go down to a local little thing, and I mean, yeah, it was, those bands like Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and even Nirvana, coming up from
mhm,
Olympia. And it was interesting to, like, I didn't think real specifically much about them. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, they're pretty good. I just don't think of them as like superstars, but there they are doing it like because of the venue or the
yeah,
crowd. And
mhm,
then like a year later, you see them on MTV or something. It's like, oh, okay,
yeah,
that was a movement. So
yeah, 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 exactly. That was a good time to be in Seattle in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah,
I had a
definitely.
picture of Nirvana. Let's see if I can bring it up here. Nope, it's buried in my history. Oh, here we go. Um, I'm just going to bring it up. So this was in 1992, maybe. Sorry, I'm awkwardly bringing to stage something here.
Yeah. Well, did you listen to Friday Space?
Uh, I
It was kind of
I
a shit
tuned in
show.
very briefly. Oh yeah, we were talking about Anthrax and some of the songs.
Yeah, Megadeth and that, but just trying to get some of Cisco's. I really wanted to get Cisco's songs up because it was one of the first times that he'd been in, and I know he messes around with the AI songs, and so I wanted to highlight that. And my MacBook, I can't get my
Oh
DMs on
yeah,
my Twitter anymore, and that was the whole fiasco. So I'm having to receive it in my DMs on my phone, and then try to send it to my email, and then pull it up my email on my Mac. It was just a fucking nightmare.
yeah. So yeah, you were trying to
Oh,
get
okay.
it to play. So this was after a local small concert and so after the concert, I think it was, God, was it 92? Maybe it was 91. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
I was I was still pretty young, but um I mean, obviously there's Kurt in the band, and this was a buddy of mine, Craig, who he's since died. He got cancer, and
Mm.
a guy named Mike. This was in um, Mike's basement after the show. It was like, hey, you want to come party after the show? And they're just like, yeah, sure, whatever, man. And
Holy
literally,
shit.
they're in Mike's mom's basement. And
Wow.
because they hadn't blown up yet, it was like, I think Nevermind might have just I can't remember now. But anyway, I think Nevermind was out, but it wasn't like they were on MTV the same way yet. And they just
Yeah.
happened to be in a little podunk town. I was like, oh. Anyway, some of those memories of those bands, when you saw them start out, and then it was that grunge era and that
Hmm.
spirit of it all. I was right in Seattle when a lot of that was going on. It was awesome. But
Yeah. 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 It's pretty
before that,
badass. I mean, it was a fun time to be hanging out. I mean, we were there for 2, 3 months. And then, of course, we had to go back into dry dock maybe a year later or 8 months to a year later. And so we got a second trip to Seattle. And
cool.
yeah, it's cool stuff. It's good stuff.
So on the vibe sessions, also, yeah, we're talking. So music that we might relate on. You mentioned Anthrax. I was going to maybe I can't play it for too long here, but Anthrax somewhere buried. I have a signed Anthrax poster from when they went on tour for their album Worship Music, and I was just listening to that this morning. Oh, here it
Nice.
is. Oh yeah. Oops. Yeah, I listened to this album a ton when it came out and was way into Anthrax. But I think my discovery of metal was through Metallica. So
Oh,
yeah,
goddamn
we
dogs.
talked about Metallica in a bit, and they kind of went from being based to corporate
Sellouts.
sellout, litigious, all this
Hmm.
like really kind of stuff. Is
Yeah.
like that's not the culture of this, But anyway, but then we were talking about David Mustaine and where he went and
And Megadeth. Yeah.
Megadeth. Yeah. So anyway, did you ever listen to Anthrax?
Yeah, I listened to a lot of Anthrax when I was in high school. I don't recall the album you're mentioning, and I'm having a hard time remembering the album that came out when I was about a senior in high school that I really liked. There was a song called Time on it, and boy, it's been so long since I've listened to Anthrax. But yeah, I was a fan, definitely.
They had some really good anthems here.
Just that sound brings me back.
Yeah. I probably can't play too much of it or I get a flag or something. But anyway, yeah, no, I love that stuff. And I have a wide range of music that I can really appreciate. I like all of it. And
Yeah.
so then as AI and like Cisco and some others, they can create different genres like that are or
Hmm.
closely replicated it, and it gets better and better. It's really fun to see. You give it a topic or some lyrics or whatever,
Hmm.
and it makes some interesting stuff. I like how it's played in your spaces.
It really does. But here's my critique or my criticism on
Uh-huh.
AI music, especially when it comes to metal and the heavier stuff, the faster stuff. It's too perfect.
Oh, really?
It is the drum fills are too. It's just too perfect. There's no. I don't know. That's been what's bothered me about trying to make, because I really did when I started off. I wanted to kind of dive into more of a progressive metal genre, and I just found myself listening to it thinking, this is just, it's too perfect. I mean, I don't know any other way to say it,
Yeah.
when you look back at like 70s, those guys were making mistakes left and right, but it gave their bands it gave their albums and their songs personality,
Uh-huh.
to me anyways, to
Yeah.
hear just a slight mistake in a guitar riff or a drum fill or something like that. And I appreciate that, because that's where that sound comes from, like with specific bands.
Yeah.
But with AI, it just all comes out like these perfect, fast rolls on the drums that nobody can do. Well, I mean, there might be a couple drummers around that can do that, and
Yeah.
the double bass that is just faster than anybody, and brrr, yeah, and it's just perfect. And so yeah, that's my only. I've kind of shifted more towards like a blues style. I think sounds really good with AI.
Uh-huh.
Blues and a little rockabilly and things like that. But Like the few songs that I've made now are kind of more along that genre.
Yeah,
And
Tool's drummer,
Danny Carey.
Danny Carey. Yeah, he is probably. I mean, you don't want to say the best because there's a lot of good drummers, but he's like one of the best damn
He's
drummers
one of the
out
best.
there. Oh my
Yeah.
God! When Tool's one of their not recent now, but their album came out. It's got Numa on it, and oh, what was it called? Anyway, some of those songs, what he's doing, it's like he has to have two brains because he'll be and
Yeah.
there's videos of him playing. He's got this big set, of course, but he'll be doing one thing. Like, granted, there's the feet and there's other things he'll do. One hand is over here doing one rhythm, and another hand is doing an asynchronous rhythm that then converges and then separates again. It's like, how do you do that? You gotta have two brains. But
yeah, it's total independence of your left hand, and that's something that is really difficult to do with drumming because your left hand wants to go along with your right hand, and if you've got a different like a 2/3 time going with your left hand, it's really difficult to do like a 3/4 time with your right hand. I think I said that right. I'm not huge in reading music but I do understand different beats, you know. And so it's really, and you know who's really good at that, who's total independence of the left hand, is John Fishman from the band Fish.
oh
And
yeah.
that right there, that drum cam, that was one of my favorite drum cams
Oh, this
of
is him playing
Danny
Numa.
Carey.
It's phenomenal because you can see his set
That's
and what
awesome.
he's
Yeah,
done.
but Fish, their drummer is like that. He does some incredible stuff with percussion.
Yeah, it's amazing what they do.
There's a drummer by the name of, he does YouTube videos, Estepario or Esteban Estepario or something like that. And he's incredible. I would highly recommend checking out some of his YouTube videos.
Who's the Fish drummer? Let me see if I can find one here. Danny Carey is freaking amazing.
Fear Inoculum, that's the album that Numa song.
Oh, Fear Inoculum. I love that album. It's awesome.
And I ended up seeing Tool March of 2020 before everything shut down. They did that show in Spokane, and then they went to Eugene, did a show, and then that was it. That was the end of their tour because of COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I grew up playing piano. I could never read music very well.
You're on mute.
So I can memorize. I have a good. What's that? Oh, can you hear me? I can hear you. Oh, you can't hear me? How about now? Can you hear me? Nope.
I can't hear you.
Let me remove this.
I don't know what's going on here.
How about now? Maybe we need to buy more Bitcoin. Too many discs says buy Bitcoin.
You're muted, my friend.
I'm muted. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave real quick and come back. So hang tight.
Oh, I guess now it's my show, huh? So while Fritz is dealing with some technical difficulties,
how about now?
There he is.
Okay, good. Phew. We survived. We survived the technical You can't hear me? Oh, well, Zandex says we can hear you on the stream. So maybe it's on your
there.
End. Okay.
You came through briefly.
Oh, okay. How about now? No? Let me change my audio source too, just in case.
No, it's still.
Nope. Try that. Testing.
I don't know what button you hit, but I was hearing music and your voice, and then you took it away.
Well, I'm going to close some stuff out here. I don't know what's going on if you can't hear me. Maybe you try leaving and re-entering, and I don't know what's going on. I don't show myself muted.
Still can't hear you, man.
Oh, shoot. Let me change my mic again. I'm going to change my mic to this one. How about now?
Nothing.
Can you hear me?
I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
I cannot hear you, sir.
You can't hear me. Oh. What if you join on your phone? You can't hear me though. Oh well. I messaged you. Okay, well I'm direct messaging you if you see that, but you can't hear me. So I'm gonna leave for just a second.
We're
again.
having some technical.
Okay,
we'll be right back.
Okay,
it looks like he's gonna pop out and come on back. So, wow, way to leave me stranded.
I can hear myself. Mine is okay, I think. So, okay.
Still can't hear you.
I think it's on your
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Try leaving and then coming back in.
There you go. Now I got you.
Okay, you hear me? You hear me?
I don't know what we're doing here. Oh shit, I pushed something.
As the audience bears with us. I mean, I've got everything else closed out. So
you want me to hop out?
Yeah, hop out.
Okay.
And then come back in.
Let's see here.
Anyway, what can I play here? I'm going to go to the YouTube again and bring up Danny Carey because Fear Inoculum by Tool. If you like drumming, I'm going to bring this one up. This is my freaking favorite video here. I'm going to present this. Share screen. Danny Carey. There we go. Okay. And yeah. I'm going to mute that.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I can hear. I was kind of wondering why you were playing Numa with no sound. I was like, man, I'd really like to hear that.
Oh, weird. Yeah, see, well, could you hear it just now?
I could hear it. You kept popping back in and out, and there was music when you'd pop in. But then you went on. Not really, no.
Okay. Well, I don't want to jinx us with the music, but anyway.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
I was playing Fear Inoculum, so. Okay, you're back.
I'm back.
Zandex says I think it's working now, and you can hear me, so we're good.
Yeah.
Well, where were we? Music. What kind of bands of music do you listen to just now lately?
Boy.
As if you can narrow it down.
I mean, I listen to a lot of Foo Fighters. And Foo Fighters is good for beginning guitarists because their shit's easy. Their acoustic stuff is pretty easy to play. I've been on this little Guns N' Roses kick. A few months ago, who was it? Cousins had posted the song November Rain, so I thought, well, I think I'll sit down and try to play that. And so I figured that out on the piano, and the song Civil War, it really makes me think about what's going on today. We really listen to the lyrics of that song. And I listen to just about everything. I'm not really big on rap or country, but yeah, and a lot of times System of a Down. I love System of a Down and Rage Against the Machine and Primus and Tool. I mean, I still listen to those bands. I have a Spotify list of pretty much his metal songs, Pantera, and those kind of bands. But
Yeah, and growing up with, I mean, I went through some years in college where it was hard into Rage Against the Machine and Nine Inch Nails,
yeah,
and then also Tool and a lot of other stuff. And I also liked electronic and techno. It's been we were talking about it at the space, I think, where it's really cringe what happened with Rage, where they were, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. And then down in there was that little bit of communist politics that they couldn't reconcile. And so when COVID came around and it's like, fuck you, you're going to wear your mask. And it's like, really?
And when you guys mentioned that, and I wasn't even aware that, and I don't know if it was their lead singer, God, what's his name? Tom something. I wasn't aware that they had come out in support of the COVID guidelines and the masks and the 6 feet and all that.
Oh God.
But,
yeah. Well, it's
because
kind of I mean, I can understand like, okay, rage against politics, or you don't like Trump. Okay. But there are people that got so hook, line, and sinkered on derangement syndrome that they couldn't walk it back when it's clown world, everything's upside down. It's like, okay, yeah. But so do you see the statist communist fascist thing going on now? It's just in reverse. No, I don't see that at all. Oh, well, what are you raging against? I mean, I don't know. And not that it's left versus right. It's both tracks. It's two rails. The train is going the same direction. It's just riding on both rails. Yeah. So do you see that?
Different wings of the same bird.
Exactly. Left and right boots on your neck.
Yeah, it's a uniparty, and it's just it's an illusion, this whole two-party system. But
yeah, so pay your taxes for what? Don't think about it. Vote harder, though. Vote harder. It's kind of for me, it's kind of a freeing feeling to think like, free your money, but to, not that I don't care, I have my opinions, and maybe voting locally means something, sure, but to like not vote, just be like, it don't matter. What am I voting for? Like, you get in a guy who's gonna pop that boil, lance that boil, drain the swamp, and he doesn't.
Especially on a national level. Yeah. I don't see. I mean, I'm right there with you. I don't know that I'll ever vote again on a national level because I just don't see us voting our way out of this, and I don't see that us voting has really, it's all just smoke and mirrors to me.
Right. But, yeah, I'll feel it. And then it's like, depending on the state you're in, it's like, is Oregon or Washington or California, maybe California has some contested areas, but still, are their electoral votes ever going to go anywhere other than the herd? Like, no. I don't know. So it's almost kind of freeing your mind, a liberation to be like, I'm done. I'm going to focus my time and my energy and the rent it takes up in my head, that space. Yeah. I'm focusing it on what I can do for a future that I want, and that's Bitcoin, and then like other things we've talked about.
Yeah. So. And fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
Exactly. So I love those songs. I just can't think of the musicians in the same way anymore. It's like, damn it. Oh well. But
go ahead.
The
musicians of Rage Against the Machine became Audio Slave. They teamed up with Chris Cornell.
Oh, yeah, right.
And became Audio Slave. Yeah. And so I think it was just the lead singer that I don't know. I didn't hear anything of what his political stance was during COVID or anything. I didn't hear anything about Rage Against the Machine.
Maybe it was just Tom De La Rocca. Is that his name?
That's his name. Yeah.
So maybe it was just him. I know the guitarist guy that does the thump strum stuff. Yeah, he and the Soundgarden guy, Chris Cornell. Yeah. Chris Cornell and I'm so bad with the names, but Rage's guitarist and bassist, I think, went to do Audio Slave.
Yep.
And then it's weird to think about that. That was 2002, 2001.
Yeah, it was about that. It was early 2000s. I want to say more like 2003, 2004.
Mm-hmm.
I had a buddy who loves Audio Slave, and I don't remember us really listening to him when I lived in Portland, and I lived there till 2004. So I think it might have been mid 2000s that they came out with Audio Slave, but
Yeah.
and then Chris Cornell was suicided.
You think so? I
I
didn't
know.
know what happened.
Oh, I Garrett. Yeah, he and I think it was he and Chester Bennington were both working on a documentary on child sex trafficking.
Oh shit.
And I want to say Chester Bennington died of a drug overdose, and Avicii. I think Avicii was in on that as well. Possibly Anthony Bourdain, but all four of those guys are dead. You know, 2 suicides,
Oh,
2 drug overdoses, and I don't buy it. I don't buy the official narrative anymore.
It's
And I
interesting.
think that's a deep rabbit hole. By the
Well,
way,
and I'm good for it. I wasn't aware of that.
Mhm.
It is interesting, who dies or the overdoses that happen and what they were doing at the time, or they were starting to stick their neck out in certain directions, and the direction is often consistent. So many of those folks, I think of, Alice in Chains lead singer, and then even years ago, certain musicians were, OD or like suicide,
Yeah.
really? Like, so information has come out recently about Kurt Cobain and looking into that again. The Seattle PD is not digging into it again,
Yeah.
but there was information released and somebody sicked AI on it. There's a lot to the Kurt Cobain suicide that's really weird. And even, God, what's her, Hole, his wife at the time.
Courtney Love.
Courtney Love.
Mhm.
I would wonder about things about her, or, it's hard. Like, there are friends and family and a big construct of an organization that when someone like Charlie Kirk dies, and yes, people are sad and hurt and also benefit, and it makes you think about stuff, Sweet Biddy says, hey.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hey,
Sweet
Biddy. Yeah, the whole Charlie Kirk thing, that's another I don't believe that it was Thomas Crooks that
Right.
or no, that was Butler. Who was the guy? Tyler Robinson. Tyler Robinson. Yeah. I mean, it just from and I don't want to go too deep into this, but if you get shot in the neck with a 30-06 from 144 yards away, it's going to blow the back of your neck out. I don't care how strong your bones are. It's not going to ricochet down and go down your spine or whatever the official narrative is.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that he had anything to do with it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to. And it's funny because Candace has been investigating it since it happened, and she's taken more heat than anybody. She's the only one trying to come to the bottom of it, right?
Exactly.
So TP USA and all their executives they've been smearing her for months now because she's trying to figure out who killed Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. Well, and as she digs into that too, it gets hinkier and hinkier with all the players involved, and so I'm not going to say like, oh, we can know what happened, or I'm not going to say what's right and wrong. I think it's complicated, and I don't want to presume too much. And I think investigating for truth is important. And I'll tell you, it doesn't matter what the distance is on a 308. If you know anything about the munitions or the rifle or the terminal ballistics, or, oh, it was an old rusty janky gun. I'm sorry, it's a 308. It would have darn near decapitated him.
Yep.
I mean, it would have blown him open so hard. And this is all morbid stuff. But when you see the little pop and what happened, you're like, that is a little zip gun of something else.
That's what I thought. And I had texted a buddy of mine that day that he was killed. And I told him, I said, that's a small caliber handgun.
It's small.
Just from the sound of it, and I've got my experience in the Coast Guard as a gunner's mate. And that's what we did. We taught people how to shoot, and we studied ballistics. And I'm just like, there's no way that was, when they came out with it was a 30-06 that they found in the woods, that an area that they'd already had dogs sniffing around in.
Right.
But then, the FBI shows up and was like, oh, here it is. Hey, look what we found. Like, bullshit. You know, I don't
Yeah,
know.
whether it was a 30-06 or a 308 or
Yeah.
anything of that, no matter how old of a rifle it was, I'm sorry,
Any
that
high
thing,
caliber.
yeah, that would knock an elk down. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's what we saw, and then the story we got. It was like that for me. That's where immediately I'm like, nope. Like we may
No.
not know what happened, but I know it wasn't that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started questioning a lot, and now Candace and even Tucker, to an extent, have been kind of digging into it, and a lot of roads lead back to what we're seeing happening right now in Iran. Huh? Interesting.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
There's a country that's not allowed to be named in the Middle East that
that we can't talk about. Yeah.
Dare we say its name out loud, we get flagged and on a list, and we probably already are. But yeah, it's like, don't question the narrative. Wait for Kash Patel to whitewash it, and then believe that. But then it's the same thing as like whether it's the Epstein files or these other things. It's like, okay, are we going to just continually distract from this stuff and say, well, we're going to do UFO disclosure now? Like, look over here now. Epstein who?
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Now we've got a war. Just focus on the war. 2 weeks to stop the spread. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's just the latest distraction.
Nancy Guthrie is missing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. I was like,
You know, remember that? I mean, that was all over mainstream media, and shit. And they're doing a good job, because now I can't remember what the story was that we were all following when Nancy Guthrie went missing. That was a distraction, and I didn't even watch any of the Nancy Guthrie shit. I was still focused on it. It was probably this war with Iran or Epstein list, actually.
yeah.
You know, when Thomas Massey's coming, I was like, I got the list. I'm gonna release all these people. I was like, no, you're not.
I'm still hung up on 9/11 or the bombing of the USS Liberty or things like that. I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on some of these things.
Well, there are holes. There are holes in all of these official narratives. Even the Oklahoma City bombing, the Oklahoma City bombing, 9/11, the USS Liberty, Ruby Ridge, Waco, Texas, like all this shit that has happened, and we get this official narrative from the government, and people are like, hold on a second, jet fuel can't burn through solid steel.
Right.
You know, building 7.
Yeah. I've argued with people over this before, and some people are really protective of Popular Science magazine, but I'm like, okay, so steel starts to get soft around what, I don't know, 3,600 degrees, and jet fuel can burn at like a third of that, maybe half that.
Yeah.
And then instead of kind of like things happening in little ways, it's a controlled demolition. And then all the debris and dust is like gone. I'm sorry. With
the exception of one of the hijackers' passports that was found blocks away by a firefighter or something like that.
Yeah. Found a passport though. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything incinerated except for this paper passport.
Yeah. Right. And so I like the rabbit holes. I try not to peer into an abyss too deeply that it peers into me, and I can get, it can be crazy making if you take it too seriously. But Jeeves says, yo.
Yo, Jeeves, what's up, brother?
I like knowing or pursuing truth. I think we're lied to, and the propaganda is thick. It's like living behind a multicolored iron curtain.
Yeah.
And then when it's, you know, hey, stop asking questions. Don't look over there. We have another distraction over this way. I'm just like, nope, I'm opting out in a variety of ways. And part of it is the mind control.
Yeah.
And if you dip your toes into history and you see things that we know now, decades and decades ago, that the CIA was doing for like ever. It's not like, oh yeah, we realized that was wrong, or we got caught, so we stopped. No,
MK Ultra.
You never stopped.
Yeah, no, MK Ultra.
Yep, there's MK Ultra, and then
was that Operation Mockingbird. There were so things that they were doing. You know, a couple good books that I read that started to open my mind to this were Chaos by Tom O'Neill, and that was the story of the CIA's possible involvement with the Manson murders.
Right.
And he was an MK Ultra. guy that used those same tactics on all his followers and talked them into killing people. And then there was another one, you know, since this music oriented, it's called Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon.
Oh, yeah.
David McGowan. That is a really good book. What he talks about were the mid 1960s, when all these musicians that created the 1960s anti-war hippie movement just converged on Laurel Canyon, California, and Manson was running with that crowd as well. So they're just doing some weird shit, you know, and there was a lot of connection between the musicians and their parents and the military and intelligence complex.
What was the name of that book you mentioned? Tales from the Canyon?
Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon. David McGowan.
Yeah, this is it here. Yeah. So at first blush, you'd say, oh, geez, how conspiracy kooky are you? I tell you, how uninformed are you about the powers that be straight out of World War II that had tremendous wealth, deep black budgets, free reign to do everything they were doing, everything about it, for decades and decades and decades. And we're looking at multi-spectrum, asymmetric, fifth-dimensional warfare, fifth-generational warfare. This is not the kind of strategy and intelligence and warfare that we think of as like normal and like a video game. We're talking cultural, and it almost like we as citizens in America itself needs to be contained and controlled. And that's been the MO forever. So then you get into culture, the 60s movement, the hippie stuff, the unleashing of drugs, various things, LSD, whatever. And then later, crack and stuff from the CIA out of Central and South America straight into urban areas. And it was an economy for them, and it also disrupted and distracted human beings, humanity in general, kept us busy, kept us distracted, kept us hurt, fighting amongst each other, totally preoccupied. Meanwhile, they're making money and can manage that. Anyway, it's crazy stuff.
And then there's the poison that they put in our water and our food and our air that
toxic food, toxic water.
Yeah, everything's toxic. It dulls our senses, keeps us down, you know. Yeah, we're good. Yeah. We're just good little slaves, right?
Yeah. So we are animals on their farm, and we are the resource to be extracted from. It's an extractive state. It's the extractive state of money. And so how do you escape that? Well, there is physical sovereignty things you can do, but how about Bitcoin? Get yourself on Bitcoin, everybody.
Get yourself off their financial rails, you know. Yeah. Hop on a different train, because apparently this train, nothing stops this train.
Nothing stops it, but there will be ruptures, I think. And Biohazard says he loves some Friday open mic sessions with the
Mexican. Good.
Thank you, Biohazard.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, we could talk for days on so many things, but I tell you, I try not to get sucked into it, and at the same time, I do pay attention within a dosage that I can kind of handle, and then without getting too pissed or being like, I'm not going to take it anymore. Well, instead of being extreme about it, I'm going to stay humble and stack sats, take care of my family, and just step by step for me. As the Titanic slides into the waters, I'm just stepping off and floating to my own private island.
Yeah, I'm on the life raft, and that's where I'm going to stay. And that's what I kind of mentioned earlier about all the infighting that's going on X. Because of the bear market, I mean, let's keep a positive attitude, because we do hold the hardest asset ever created, and we're going to be good as long as we keep doing what we're doing. I mean, it's when you start, like, I don't know, selling and trading and all that kind of bullshit to try and get more Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin. hold it, give it a full cycle, at least.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just kind of where my mindset's at right now. So
Yeah.
so I'm happy I can provide that for people who enjoy the Friday space and want to escape the fighting and the arguing and the proving you're smarter than everybody else or you're smarter than the other guy. It just doesn't fucking matter.
Uh-huh. And that's what I love about your space is
Mhm.
it's positive, it's vibe, it's community, and it's a place where, yeah, we can relate in a positive way together. Because there's enough little fighting out in the world, but you keep it positive, and I like the energy of it. So
I try to. Even when it's a shit show, I try to keep it positive. You know,
hurting those cats.
Oh God, I was getting so frustrated the other night. It was like, fuck computers, fuck technology.
Oh, yeah, you're trying to get something to play, like just you play my song and just trying to share a song. And it's like, But,
well, and that's another thing that a lot of people don't really kind of understand is somebody will throw out a song like, hey, can you play this? And I'll be like, yeah, give me just a minute. And then they expect it like right away. Like, no, I said play it. So you're playing it. It's like, okay, I got to go here. I got to go there. I got to send it here. I got to send it there. And then I can get it up.
Get it,
but,
get it on the, well, it's like me and bouncing around on my screens to share anything on my, up on stage here. Oh, this is Thunder. Hey, Thunder.
Hey, Thunder.
Yeah.
Right on. Thunder. So he sent me a song last night, and I didn't get to it until today. And I listened to it right before I came up. And so, yeah, Thunder, I want to thank you for that. What was the name of it? Something. But I want to lick your arsehole or something. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I like Thunder. I mean, I like a lot of different music, but like lo-fi, sort of like blues in a way, but I like electronic stuff, and sometimes I'm higher energy about it. I like the harder stuff. Other times I like the lo-fi, just kind of groove. It depends on my mood. And
yeah, I think that's true for a lot of people. It just depends on where you're at in your day or your life. And, sometimes going through hard times and people are always listening to, doomer music, things like that. Right? I don't know. I don't listen. I know when I've gone through my hard times, I wasn't like, let's pick the happiest music out there because that'll cheer me up. It's like, no.
Yeah. What's funny? When I was never a big fan of country music. And then when I went to Montana and was going to school, it was like I was hearing country all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't intolerant to it. I'm just like, this isn't my style. Or I'd kind of put labels and categorize it in terms of, oh, my dog left me, my wife died, whatever. And like, okay. And I never loved country, say. I can appreciate the history and the organic, string stuff. But when boy, let me think. God, it's been 10 years now. But when I got divorced, and I'm on chapter 5 of my life now. But back at the time, it was one of the hardest things I'd been through, and in a weird, funny way, just because I was trying to find my own sense of personal agency and who I was again, and I was feeling like total shit, and and on the radio would be like, 4 of the 5 channels in my town or country. But I just, whatever. I got in my car and the battery had died and it came back on and I scanned and I went to a country station and immediately I'm kind of like, but I left it there and I was just kind of like, it's music. I'm just driving. I'm catatonic. And I listened to country for a number of months. Like there was something about country music that just sort of floated my sensibility at the time that like resonated with a kind of like, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. When you can identify with it a little bit and I get that totally. Rosa wanted to be on camera. Huh?
Hi, Russell.
Rosa, you're looking the wrong way, girl. Here, let me see if I can turn your face.
Good doggy. Hey, doggy.
She doesn't want to look anywhere but me. All right, get down.
Yeah.
So,
Well, this has been awesome. What have we not touched upon that you wanted to make sure we did? If you have anything else,
I don't think I did. And if I think of something, maybe I'll come back on if you'll have me.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's been a great conversation. I really enjoyed this, Fritz. Thank you. Thank you
If
so
you
much.
want to find MexiMaxi, he is on X and in the Bitcoin army. You'll find him easily. MexiMaxi, MexiMaxi 72.
That's it.
You'll find him here, and hey, here we are playing right there. So, yeah, on a lot of the spaces, and good fun contributor to everything there. That's how I found him, and it was really great having you on. I really appreciate the time you gave me today.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite, though. Yeah, you're welcome. That was great.
Cool. All right, we can do it again sometime, and we'll see you next time. Everybody else, bye-bye.
All right, take care.